Hi. So today is the week 5 of Speaking Impromptu. Today I thought about speak about the wars and conflict happening in the world and 5 ways that we can create a peaceful world without wars. Right now in the world there are so many conflicts and tension in the world. America wants to take Greenland, they want to take attack Iran, and Israel want to attack Iran, and Russia and Ukraine are fighting, and China wants Taiwan, and China and Russia threaten USA they will attack if Trump takes Greenland, and even the people in Iran are protesting against their leader, religious leader who have controlling the country for so long, and people don't have the freedom and everything. We talk about first about Iran. Let's say Iran doesn't have democracy or free speech, and there are so many bad rules in the country, but it is up to them, for their people, to get together and create a leadership or appoint a leader which serve their interest. People have the power, and right now USA didn't want that to happen before, but right now they saying protesters they are gonna help them to remove the current leadership and create a new leadership in the country. Why are they doing that? Why they always try to remove the leaders in other countries, saying different various excuses? From what I seen, what is happening in the world, what I saw was the underlying intention is to take the resources of that country, not because they care about the people in those countries, but just to take the resources and maybe increase their profits. Who knows? Only them know. But what we see in the news and media, what I realize is they just want the resources. It happened to Iraq, it happened to Libya, it happened to so many so small countries, even in Venezuela. Imagine the drama they are doing. Like the opposition leader in Venezuela got the Nobel Peace Prize. For what? They just give the Nobel Peace Prize for whoever they want, whoever align with their vision, not the people who actually want peace in the world. And now she has given the Nobel Peace Prize for Donald Trump. For what? In the outline, from outside, for the media, they come to the media and say, we want the world peace and we are acting on world peace. So, how can you act on peace while harming another human? Is it practical? If you want peace, first you got to act in a mindful way that violence is not an option. If you really want the peace, if you use violence against people and saying, I want the peace, is some kind of bullshit in my opinion. But in inside, they just want the control over people and the resources. Because whoever have the resources, they can control the market. They can control the currency which those resources were handled. So that's the current situation. So today I'm going to talk about how to stop war or how to bring peace to this world, how people can live without fear, how they can trust the leaders they have appointed. If you talk about the history of wars, people were fighting in the history as well, right? For what? For food, land, resources, or just to satisfy their ego to conquer the world. When there are so many ways you can conquer the world, they use violence and their power, military power, in order to do that. If you look back at the history, first you might have watched Vikings, right? Vikings is kind of a story about very old, like when early stage of human evolvement. For example, in that early stage, Vikings, they were running out of food, the resources to survive. They were running out of good soil, good land to cultivate food for them to survive. That's why they have built ships to travel. They didn't know there were other lands available in this world because we didn't have technology, right? We were in the basic stage of evolvement. So they have built ships and they were traveling. When they were traveling, they find new land. They find new land. And when they go to that land, you see some other humans just like you, looks like you, but they are kind of different. They wear different clothes. They speak a different language. They worship a different God. And you confuse. They are just like you, but they are totally different in their way of living. And for that human mind, it's strange. It's strange. They worship a different God. But what about our God? Our God is not the true God. But if I'm a Viking, I believe my God is the true God. And the Vikings go to England, right? If you are a person in England, I believe my God is the true God. And two people coming from different countries thinking their God is the true God. But actually, who is the true God? No one knows. But they don't know that. They have learned from the childhood that their God is the true God and they believed it so many times over and over. So they have created a pattern in their mind that their God is the true God. So when you travel to another country and when you walk, you see different people. And when people are discovering land, they take the most strongest men, right? But they train for fight, for survival instincts or to defend themselves. They are trained to fight. So when you go into another country, you see there are people whose values are don't align with you. So, and you can't communicate properly. The language is different. So a small misunderstanding can lead into a fight between two people. Say there's a one person from Vikings, person from England, and two person come meet, interact each other, and they have a misunderstanding and they fight. And that Viking person is not alone. He have many people around them. And even the England person, he's not alone. Let's say these two people fight, and that fight ends somehow, and they go back to their camps, the place to stay, and they tell them the story, how he was attacked, how the other person treating him. And this England person go to their houses or their village and tell them how Vikings are treating them, how their values are. And that become, say, let's say England person talking about the Viking person, talk about their values. These people came to hurt us. These people came to take our land. These people came to take our resources. So those people try to react. because that's their survival instincts. They react. So when they react, the group get together and they want to solve this conflict. And these people, they say these, that Vikings now say, that Vikings say to their group, these people in England are so mean, they are so disrespectful, they came to attack me. And the group absorbed their survival instincts because they are group, they belong in one group. That's how we have survived. So now there are two big parties who want to solve something, but their communication is bad. Their beliefs are different. So what is the best way to solve that conflict is checking who is the strongest, right? If you think about like that. So those people collide and deciding who is the strongest, and strongest get the resources and the control. That's the first step that we are fighting if you think about the evolution way. So slowly when we are evolving, people wanted to fight better, more stronger, equipped with better tools, better technologies, better strategies. So they start to invent new weapons like bow and arrow. You can harm someone from the far. So over time, it has developed into guns where you can shoot another person from far. So you are much safe from far, right? And we have evolved like that into present day. And if we think about the period of World War One, they were fighting with so many modern tools, technology. And who creates that technology? We, humans. Why we create that technology? Because we plan ahead to attack some people for our survival instincts. We think they are gonna attack us first, and they think we're gonna attack us first. So both the parties try to create much better technologies, and then they send spies to get the information, knowledge, and both the parties, every countries create similar kind of products, similar kind of tools to harm humans. But some people have to generate those in mass production, right? So whoever produce those weapons, they get rich because the state, the government or the emperor has to pay for the military, the people, soldiers, and also they have to pay for the defenses, the tools, weapons, those systems. So whoever created those systems became millionaires, so rich people. And you know what money can do, right? Money can easily hire another person for any work. If you are poor person who don't have money, and if someone offer you money, you feel so generous and you want to do anything for them. And whatever they tell you, men, strong men, violent men, they tend to do that. So in World War One, I have heard, if no, it happened in World War Two, if 20 million soldiers were died, 60 million civilians were died from that destruction. So one soldier to 3 citizens, civilians, ordinary people, just like you and me. And when countries were fighting like that, I have heard one, banking systems or weapon manufacturers or people who have control over resources, they have profited massively when compared to any other industry. They have profited massively. Imagine you, right? You born into this world, and your father is a weapon manufacturer. He had a very luxury life, the best life. There were people who obeyed them, people who listened to them, and your father is a very rich and powerful person. What was his business? He was producing weapons. And your father also inherited that from your grandfather. And when you grow older, your father transfer his beliefs to you. And you want to maintain, you want to have that lifestyle too. You don't want to do a normal job and pay your bills and live, right? You want to have that luxury life. So you got to continue that business what you inherited, or somehow your position in there. Say you are a poor person and you get the training and you come close to the interaction between those powerful people, and you take the control of that business, and you believe that's the best way to survive for you and for your family, and you continue that business. And over time, some people protest and say, please stop the war, please stop the war, don't harm people. So if humans start stopping, if humans stop war, fighting, and learn to share the resources in the world, imagine what happened to those weapon manufacturers. Who gonna use their products? Who need their products? If harm is not an option, no one want to use their products, right? So as a businessman, what your option will be? Your option will be to market your products. Somehow make people want to buy your products. Imagine if you have a chocolate with you, and if you don't eat that chocolate, you don't buy another chocolate. So how can the chocolate company make consistent profits and maintain their lifestyle? It is same for weapon manufacturers. If you are a weapon manufacturer, if you have a gun, you have to use the gun. If you don't use the gun, they don't make the money. So they have to market themselves, advertise themselves. That's why they use their money to market that. How they market that? They can create conflicts between two parties. If you can take 50 Muslims, pay 50 Muslims and hire them, and you pay 50 Jews and pay them, and you give the training for both, and they don't know each other, right? And you tell them to do this because some people have done for your grandfather, so you have to take the revenge. Now you got to do this, and they are happy to do that because they don't have any financial stress and they don't have any purpose in life. So whoever helped them with the financial support, they feel so generous to support that person. So if they attack these 50 Jewish people or one of their community, and they have paid the media as well, media goes to that part, that Jewish community, and create or make news, and that news is broadcasted for all over the world, and it create a division between Muslims and Jewish. Now Jewish community is hurt, and you pay the 50 Jewish people you are hired to attack a Muslim community, and they go and do that, and you have paid those media to create the news, and they go to the victims of their families, ordinary people, citizens, normal citizens. They are hurt, they have emotions. So you use their emotions and their hurt to create news and spread through the world, so you can create division among two communities now. And people are fearful that these people fighting, not many people want to fight. So the people who don't want to fight are fearful now. And when leaders, another marketing tool for those manufacturers and so-called big and powerful people. They come to the media. They are very good at public speaking. That's their best skill they have. So they use that skill to tell the people, we got to do this, we got to fight against this. So we are going to use your money, taxpayers' money, fight that country or support this country because I believe what they are doing is right. They just say that, come to the media, and you just listen because you don't know what to do. You have no clue what to do. Have no clue whose those leaders have take dinner with, what their beliefs is. You only hear, you only see what they come into the media and tell you. If I practice a lot, even I can come to the media and give excuses. I can tell lies. It's not much easy. If you practice a lot and lot, if you're good at public speaking, if you're good at counter arguing, it's so easy. So if you are a billionaire, that's how I do my marketing. If I am a weapon manufacturer, if I want to keep running my business for my next generation, that's how I do it. I spend money on two communities, I spend money on media, I spend money on the politicians, and then the governments give billions of money to the company to make more and more weapons. Very good return of investment. So if we gonna, first step, if we gonna create a peaceful world, first we have to think about weapon manufacturers and the people who control mostly the oil, the resources in the world, because with their money and power, they tend to react because it is our survival instincts we have. When something happens to our survival, the way of living, our world resources, our control, our influence, those are our survival instincts. Normally human absorb from our surrounding. So they're gonna react a lot. So first we have to find solution for them to live their life with, to maintain their lifestyle. And peaceful world mean we got to create a lifestyle kind of luxury for each and every human, right? So first we have to think about that. And now now I'm going to talk about what we citizens can do to achieve peace, to bring peace, to live peaceful with communities. I have Muslim friends, I have Tamil friends, I have a lot of friends from different backgrounds, different religions, but I don't have a reason to fight with them. But why are they fighting? If you think why are they are fighting over beliefs, some prophecy someone have written in a book long time ago. My friend, those people who have wrote those prophecies or their beliefs, they are not here right now. We are the ones who are breathing in this world right now. It is our world right now. It is we who decide how we want to evolve in the future, how we want to leave this world to our children, what kind of systems they need to survive on this earth peacefully, happily, fulfilled. It is up to us to create. Those people, your ancestors, are not here right now. Their prophecies or their beliefs not valid. If you have attachment to those beliefs or those prophecies, you have to think about yourself, how you attach to those beliefs and prophecies. So today I want to talk about 5 ways that we can do that. We can create a peaceful world. We can do it short term or we can do it long term. If we do it long term, we can start slowly with few people and grow it slowly. If we want to do it short term, we need massive number of people, because those governments and militaries does not exceed more than 1 million people. Maximum does not exceed maximum than 2 million people. And there are millions of people in the world. And you know that one of the most world power right now is USA. They have so much control over currency and resources. They talk about morality, but all they do is their strength, their force. They don't listen to people. They say they act on morality, but I don't see that morality in them. They use force, they use their power. Imagine countries are like brothers, and you need to survive, you need resources to survive. And when brother have so many resources and some brothers don't have much resources, so what we got to do? Brothers got to share those resources, right? But what we do right now is one brother saying, I need your resources. I need to be more powerful. I am the world best. If you don't give me resources, I will send my military to you, take you down, and I'll take your resources. So, I believe you get the basic idea. It's been half an hour, still I haven't told about one, right? So, first I came up with a 20-year plan. 20-year plan. We humans are born into this world just with our body, right? We don't bring anything else, we just bring only our body. We learn to walk, what we can do with our legs. We learn what we can do with our hands. We learn how to talk. At first, you didn't know how to talk. So, we learn languages. We learn what we can do with our ears, eyes, nose. But in this evolution, we haven't still learned about how our mind works. People, scientists are experimenting what is going on with our brain, with our mind, and those education, knowledge is here for 50 years, 50, 70 years, but still that education is not taught for us, because whatever we absorb, right, for first 20 years we absorb from our surrounding, whatever, fuck, whatever we have taught is what we become after 20 years, right? Your background basically becomes you in 20 years, because first 18, 20 years we create patterns from what we see, what we hear, and what we experience in our life. All our actions happen from the patterns we have formed. If you born into this world as pure, angel, sweet, loving kid, do they still call you that after 20 years? Hard. We can't believe it, right? Because they don't call us like that, because we are not pure sweet angels like we were born. What happened? Our surrounding, those patterns took place in our mind, and we became those patterns. How we react, how we respect, how we communicate, those things have become patterns. So, humans don't learn about our mind, how it works, how emotions work, how we can regulate our emotions, how thoughts are arising, how can we self-aware, how can we observe our thoughts. Observing thoughts is being self-aware. So we don't learn about that. If we can observe our thoughts, we can consciously choose our actions. But if you not being self-aware, your patterns from the past will repeat as actions in a situation, in a rough situation, In a conflict situation, our patterns repeat. That is why most leaders live in fear. When they come into the media, all they talk about fear. You can see the fear, and all they want to take actions to prevent that. If humans plan ahead to harm another human, why? Because they are fearful, because they haven't observed their patterns, they haven't learned about their patterns, how those patterns keep repeating as actions in the future. They haven't received that education. They have absorbed what they inherited from their surrounding. So it is not their problem. But as humans evolving, if it is up to us to decide how we want to evolve, first we need to teach children how to regulate their emotions, how to see their patterns and how to break their patterns and how to create new patterns in order to live in peace and harmony. That education is available in this world, but it was never given to children. If we give that education to children at a very young age, they grow up to become emotionally intelligent people. And from those emotionally intelligent people, emotionally intelligent leaders will arise. And when they get the power or when they get the position as prime minister or president, they know you and the other human on the other side of the planet is just like you. So they prioritize human life before their attachment towards their beliefs, their worldly resources, or their titles. Because those children have learned to love themselves, to understand themselves. When they understand themselves, they understand another human, what they need to survive in this world. So for those kind of conscious leaders, for those kind of emotionally intelligent leaders, war is not an option. War is not an option. So they think and focus alternative options to provide systems, to create systems, to provide our basic needs. If you think about why we need a leader, leaders are the driving force shaping the course of human evolution. So why we need a leader? To create systems for us to survive. Each and every human first need to survive. They need food, water, shelter and safety to live as a community and live together. And that's the job of leaders. We have evolved from kings to president and prime ministers. Why? Why? Because kings only cared about their family, their future, their lineage, their next generation, and people were tired of that. So our ancestors want to create new laws, new rulers who can think about you. So that's why they have introduced democracy, republican, so many words, right? In behind each word, they wanted justice. Justice. They want fairness. But do you think your current leaders are capable of doing that? Because you have the power to elect them into that position. That is a position, that is a job. In every job in the world, if you're going to apply for a job, you need qualifications. If you go for an interview, they ask for qualification from you. So you have to provide qualification and you got to show them you are the best one to do the job. So if being a president or prime minister is a job, responsibility, their job is to care for millions of people and think about them and prioritize them and create system for them to survive. If you take, for example, USA, there are 400 million people. 400 million. Can you imagine how large is that number? 400 million. Single person never meet 1 million people in their life. In average, we just meet 100,000 people in our lifetime. Even from that 100,000, we get to know around 10,000 people maximum. We get to know their situation, their hardships, their life. Very few people, right? Very few people. So how can you actually care and think about 400 million people? What kind of qualification, what kind of ability you have to do that? Because humans are attached to ourselves, our body, our beliefs, our habits, our worldly resources, our titles. If something happened to our car, our house, our titles as a manager, assistant manager, president, prime minister, or king, if something happened to our titles, we react. We want to get it back. We want to have justice on whoever destroyed our house, whoever destroyed our car. We want to prove our beliefs are right. Beliefs are simply something you don't know. There are things you know, there are things you don't know. And beliefs are something simply you don't know, but you got to prove your beliefs are right for another human. So when you are attached to that, you don't have much time to think about humans, people, citizens in your country, because even leaders have 24 hours a day, just like you and me. Just like you and me, they have just 24 hours. From that 24 hours, they have to create systems, they have to think about you, they have to think about peace. How can they prioritize? When something threat happen to themselves, their family, their beliefs, their worldly resources, their titles, they react. They want to take actions on behalf of that. So they spend so much time planning. So they don't have much time to think about you, create systems for you, survive. If we are evolving, if life is a challenge, first we need to provide our basic needs to think about anything else. If you are hungry, you don't read a book, right? So that is the job we want our leaders to do. So are they capable of doing that? That's a big question mark. So if caring and prioritizing can be learned from some kind of education, what if we ask that education as a qualification for them to run into that position? Let's say for the next election, there are people running. What are the best skills they have for those positions? What are the best skills the current leaders have to be in that position? Mostly public speaking skill. That is why many leaders are lawyers, because they learn to argue. They learn the law. So arguing plus law, so much skill to argue, right? To talk back. So they have the power but not much money. But there are people in the world who have a lot of money but not much political power. So people with power and people with money come together in dinner, and you don't see that part. And people with money, if you give some money or in a generous way, the people with power feel generous to other person because they gave him money for their survival. So when they have dinner and talk the world, how we evolve, their vision, slowly and slowly their beliefs are going to absorb by the people in power. The beliefs of people who have money, those beliefs are absorbed by people who have power. And they become friends, and that's what you see in media. You don't see what they talk behind the media in their dinners, right? So the best skill they have to run for the election is public speaking skill. They are good TV presenters, they are comedians, they are actors. So they have the skill to speak to a crowd. That's the best qualification they have right now. So what if we ask them to learn about themselves, to love themselves, to go deep within themselves, to learn emotional intelligence, to learn effective communication, to learn how to resolve a conflict, through communication, to learn to identify your patterns and to learn how that patterns can turn into actions. Simply, if those leaders learn these skills, if leaders learn these skills, they realize that the people, the citizen who died from World War is a human just like you who want to survive in this world, who looking for food, safety, shelter. So when you realize that, you tend to prioritize their life before your attachments towards houses, cars, titles. They are not permanent, they are just temporary until you live. But if your job as a leader to care for millions of people, with that education, they will be able to prioritize them because that education is the must, it is essential. So today I was going to talk about 5 ways that you can peaceful world, right? So the first long-term plan is the 20-year plan that you can teach young children emotional intelligence, effective communication, relationship building. For them to children to teach, we got to teach teachers first. We have to give training to teachers. So teachers do a job. So if you want teachers to learn another skill like emotional intelligence, we got to give them a reward. We got to give them a reward. So when we give teachers a reward, they spend their time learning and practicing emotional intelligence. So when they learn to love themselves, they have so much love and they understand about emotions, they can regulate their emotions. That education slowly transferred into children, and we create more training or activities, syllabus for children to learn in school in a calm and friendly way. So children absorb that knowledge from teachers, and from children, parents slowly absorbing that knowledge, love, understanding, connection. So that is what I want to do, we want to do through Mindful Humanity Matters. It is a movement. In that movement, we teach children how to understand themselves, how to love themselves, how to become an emotionally intelligent leader. Leader is not a position, just president or prime minister. It is wherever you go, you become an emotionally intelligent leader. That is how the world changes from your surrounding first, because your world is basically the people you meet. You don't meet the all 8 billion people. And that is the 20-year plan we can do. So after 20 years, say we give that education for 10-year-old in the school. After 20 years, they become 30. More strong, they learn to public speaking, and they learn to care about millions of people, and they will be the best person to be in that position, because for them war is not an option. Harming another human is not an option for them. So they think and focus different options to bring peace, to resolve conflict through communication. They learn to resolve a conflict through communicating and resolving it that benefiting the both parties. They will be much better equipped with tools and knowledge and education. So that is the 20-year plan. We can do it, start doing it by very few people at first, and we can grow it. And if I'm gonna talk about the second step, is to ask, demand qualification from leaders who are running into the election. If there's an election in 4 years or 10 years, We got to ask, show your education, show your qualification to be in that position. That qualification will be emotional intelligence. They can go into communities and work in there, or even we can create a qualification just like a course in a university or 2 year, 3 year, and it should be ongoing training as well. We got to practice daily. We got to make it a part of our life to practice that, and that qualification we can create that. So next time your president or prime minister they run into the election, you can ask them to show your qualification, show how you can care, what you have done, what you have learned for yourself. So you create a demand and they have to supply for that demand. Just like right now we don't have any qualification. They come into the media shows two people and you got to choose one from those two people. That's what's happening in so many democratic countries, right? Even in America, Kamala Harris or Trump, who you going to choose? Whatever you're going to choose, you will feel like, oh, I chose the best one out of two. But you are manipulated in there. You are manipulated. That is not the best person for that position. From media, whoever have money and power, they show you, give you two options to choose one, tea or coffee. Now choose, not water, tea or coffee. Just like that, Harris or Trump. What are the qualifications they have to care about millions, 400 million of people? They don't have. So that is the second way we can do. We can ask for qualification when they run into the next election. So when they have qualification, when they have learned about themselves, when they learn to love themselves, for them war is not an option. They don't absorb someone's belief, a belief of a person who has a lot of money, who wants to market and advertise their products, because they can consciously choose their actions. They become more awareness to what they are absorbing and their thoughts and their surrounding. For them, they learn to communicate. There are translators, best translators in the world. Still we can't communicate and come into agreement where both the parties can benefit. Right? So that is the second option. Asking. So what about the third option? Third option, I think it got to involve me. That means I go to every country and get the list of resources. Even countries can do that, even organizations can do that. You don't want me, but you go to all the countries, you check what you want, what they want, and you come up with the best plan or the best way possible that we can share the resources. In the end, we're just fighting for money, resources. Who control the resources? The oil. Basically, USA is a country that runs on their currency and their control of oil. They think if they can control the resources, they can control the world. But people who want control from outside is the people who haven't felt control from inside. But emotionally intelligent people, they feel the control from inside. They feel the power from inside. So they don't want the power or control from outside. When you felt power and control from inside, you just want justice in the world, right? Because you know that everything is impermanent and you just here for certain something, and first for that we need to survive. For survive, we need to share resources and act in a kind way with each other. We need to think about that. If a leader come into that understanding, you don't have to scare about your children and their future. Right. So the third option is optional. Let's talk about it later. Now let's talk about the fourth option. In these options, the numbers, people who are talking, people who are standing for themselves is very important. Fourth option is, like when you are electing a pope, all the cardinals go into a room and they don't come out from that room until they find a new pope. So if millions of people, especially in USA, if millions of people in developed countries mostly, China, Russia, Ukraine, Korea, USA, Japan, Australia, you ask all the leaders, go into a house, very big luxury house, give them whatever they want. Only the leaders, right? Not the CEOs of companies or the people who have the banking systems, the money or power. Just the leaders go into a big mansion and you talk. You get the translators and you talk and talk and talk and don't come out from that mansion unless you have come into agreement for peace plan for the next 10 years. For the next 10 years, how you going to share the resources, how you going to drive your markets, basically how you going to share your resources. There are surplus of food in the world, there are so many resources in the world, but the problem is we don't know how to distribute that for everyone to survive. It's a weakness of us, it's a weakness of those leaders. You think they are strong enough? No, they are weak, they are fearful, they are afraid. That's why they are fighting so hard. So if millions of people, because you have the power to elect them, right? You have the power to elect them. So if you have the power, you can ask and you can demand. If millions of people come into the street and ask them to learn effective communication, learn listening, learn emotional intelligence, now go into that mansion and talk and come up with a plan where war, fighting or harming another human is not an option. It is not an option, so you got to come up with better solution. So they have enough time in the world. They got to think, focus, think, focus. If humans can focus and think, they can come up with any ideas, right? We have created rockets that can go to Mars. We have created V8 engines. How? By focusing and thinking. Humans have that ability. So you don't think that humans have the ability to think and focus and create better systems for us to survive, to provide our basic needs, to share the resources? We can. We don't know how. We haven't done it. But as a citizens who have the power to elect them, to keep them in that position, you can ask them, my friend, go to that mansion, take these translators, don't come out unless you find better solutions. You think you and me want to fight? No, they want to fight. They pay military to fight from your money, and citizens get harm, their lifestyle crushed. They grow into fear. They just grow only on survival. That is not how we want to evolve. It is you who decide how we want to evolve. My question for you is this how you want to evolve? Or you want to think and focus and create better ways for us to survive? So after surviving, I will tell you what we can do. But the fourth option is to go into the streets and ask them to go and talk. But special thing, if we are protesting, we should not use violence. We should go only with our bare hands. If you are part of Mindful Humanity Matters, you just go with bare hands. You don't take any tools, or you don't use violence in order to force, because when you use violence, they have an excuse to use their force, their violence, their military, their guards, their cops, anyone to use against you. If you don't use violence, they can't use their power, military, because that is not ethical. That is against human rights, my friend. So, in this movement, we only use our voice and bare hands. We don't use violence. Our silence become the best weapon. They can't attack silence with their technology, their weapons. So if millions of people come into a street and ask them to go to that mansion and talk, there will be some sort of change, I guess. We can only try. The fifth option, if you want to stop this war in 2 days, millions of people go into street and go near where president lives. Don't do anything, just stand and have a board. Communicate, learn to listen, learn emotional intelligence, learn to communicate, learn to listen. Have that boards, and war is not an option. Learn to share the resources, come up with better ideas, better plans, and you don't do anything, you just hold those slogans and you stay there. 1 day, 2 day. If you don't be a part of their system, they don't have the control in the system will collapse. Then you can choose or elect emotionally intelligent leaders to that position. So it should happen in each country, I guess. Yeah. For that, this message should be translated into so many languages, because only roughly 3 billion people can understand this language. Not many people can understand this language. Just 3 billion mean there are 5 billion who can't understand what I'm saying, right? So this knowledge, this information must be translated into so many other languages so people can understand and think how they want to evolve. So eventually, I believe many people would like the concept of emotionally intelligent leadership, where you prioritize humans before your worldly resources, titles, and beliefs. Right? For that, leaders must go inwards first, to go through themselves first, to learn about themselves. That's when they can think about you. So those are the 5 options I came up with. In any options, I can give my strength and my presence, but first, humans, majority of people must come into understanding, realization, what we need, how we gonna survive. Life is a game, and in that game, we need to provide our basic needs first. That's why we have system. The current system make you a laborer, make you a factory worker. You know how it designed, right? There are so much information on the internet, but we are busy surviving. We are busy running for a job, because even leaders are busy protecting their survival instincts, to react in their survival instincts. But my friend, if we are evolving, if you feel like this current system is not sustainable for us to survive for long term, we got to evolve different way consciously, because you know there was civilization, so great advanced civilizations before us, but those civilizations are not here right now. We are the only civilization right now breathing. So if you are breathing, my friend, it is up to you to decide how you want to evolve, how you want your leadership to act, how you want to live, how you want to live peacefully with fulfillment and connection, and by feeling belonging. That's what we crave, and it is your job, and you have the power to elect people into that position to create those systems. So, my friend, never forget the power you have. One by one, if 10 million people simply rise up in US and ask their leaders to learn emotional intelligence, learn effective communication, learn listening, to ask them to go inward in themselves, in America alone, we can make this change. If America being example in the leadership, other countries will use that example to care for people just like them. And right now, if America has the power, the citizens in America have more power, my friend. If America is the world power, citizens in America, imagine how much power you have. Imagine from out of 400 million people, if 10 million come into the White House tomorrow and ask your leader to think more, to focus more, these are the options you have. Imagine how they will change. If they won't change, you know what to do, right? But in this moment, we use only our voice and bare hands, and just with our presence. Just with our presence, we can change this, how we evolving without any violence, because violence cannot be crushed with violence, right? That's a dharma, a, that's a law in the universe, that hate cannot be removed, crushed from hate. It can be solved with peace, presence, silence. So, my friend, the choice is yours. Thank you.